Perfect. Thank you. We can use the chat, guys, to ask questions. Okay. I'll try to go through this at a reasonable pace because we do only have 45 minutes now, seeing as some people were late or are late. But we'll keep adding people as and when they arrive. So good evening to everyone, and I hope you guys are well. I hope you're having a productive week thus far. And thank you for joining and making time for the pricing deep dive session that's going to take place tonight. A little bit of house rules, I suppose, is that everyone in this particular session now should find themselves in the main group after this conversation. You can WhatsApp me, because if you're gonna, or if you wanna attend, the sessions, they happen twice a month across various topics. It's cheaper to just be in the group because it's 99 Rand a month and you do all the sessions and you get other stuff for free as well, which I think is a little bit better. So I would advise that people join the group. 2 is sign up for Freedom Scale. Make sure you've got an account, because I'm just going to switch this camera off, because at the end of the day, we work off of that platform and it's going to help you understand a lot of the issues that we are touching on without you having to wreck your brain. The sessions are to provide context around the app, okay? So that's the whole idea. I am gonna be recording this just so that we can, share it with other people post today. So I just need to get that out of the way. And then I'm going to start the recording. And then it's also live. Cool. So without any further ado, I'm going to get into it. Let me just give me 1 second, guys. Just my phone is looking a bit low. Okay, so tonight's plan, why we underprice, that's a topic we're going to touch on. The pricing formula, obviously the thing that we are here for. We'll do a live exercise on Freedom Scale, just so you can use. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me now? Please just type the.
Much better. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Sorry, I'm just going to continue from what we built. So if I can quickly get a sense, I mean, I know the new guys wouldn't have, but maybe they have because they've signed up for Freedom Scale. Who has costed a dish after session one? I know there's a few people that are already in the group. Just a raising of a hands will be good enough. Okay, thank you. That's cool. Pindi, thank you. Awesome. Okay, so I'm sure you would have seen a little bit of light once you start pricing, right? Once you start costing stuff, because it really begins to tell you what you've been doing wrong and what you need to consider before you go forward. Okay, so the question really is, why do we underprice, right? And I think for me, it's largely about not knowing what the floor is. Okay, and the floor is your lowest price possible, but it's also the cost of the ingredients to make whatever it is that you're selling, right? But here are some of the fears that keep prices particularly low, right? Customers won't pay that much. That's a fear that a lot of people have. Your customer is not your cheapest customer, okay? Sometimes just because you live in a particular area and in that area those people are not willing to pay the price that you've set for an item doesn't mean that your product is not good enough or it's not going to sell to somebody else. So sometimes it's about going out there and looking for the right customer. And I think social media makes that a lot much easier. And so instead of making, scones every day, now you can make them to order, but marketing them to a wide range of people who are able to access you. Okay. My competition charges less. This is a typical one. What is the neighbor selling their thing for? And therefore, you are going to price it accordingly. But you don't know how profitable they are. So it's not possible to compete with a price whose inputs you don't understand. You don't know if they're paying rent. You don't know if they get gas for free or they've got, I know in Soweto, where I come from, some homes have rigged the electricity. So if a person is running a bakery out of their house, they're actually not paying electricity. And if you are, you can't actually price the same way that someone who's not paying for electricity is. So these are all considerations you got to think about. The other fear is not wanting to seem greedy. Charging enough is not about greed, right? It's about survival, because if you don't make a profit in your business, you're not surviving, right? Physically, you are not going to survive because, it's not great to work really hard and not be remunerated for that, but also your business is not going to survive. No business can grow or go any steps forward if it's not being sort of well taken care of. And the thing that takes care of a business is your margin. I'll price myself out of the market. That's another typical fear. The right customers are there, guys. The right customers are there. I started off with a three-course meal when I still used to be, in private chefing. I used to do a three-course meal for 350 Rand. That's maybe like 10 years ago, if not more. Today, the same, delivery, of course, it's a little bit better and a much more nuanced, and I know a little bit better as well. But that is 1,500 Rand. And so there's a big difference and a big jump over the years, to compensate for my time, to compensate for all the things I've learned, to compensate on how well I now deliver, right? So I've built a brand around that, and that's why people are able to pay that stuff. So your market actually grows with you over time if you nurse that market and if you build your market and the brand associated with it well. Here's what underpricing does, or undercharging per dish. Okay, we're talking about if you've got a restaurant and it's got 20 odd dishes, right? For each individual dish, if you undercharge by 20 Rand, you are losing 2,000 Rand a month per dish. or over, if you serve that dish 100 times in the month, then you're losing 2,000 rand. But now you can imagine if you're underpricing on several dishes, let's call it 20 dishes, this is no longer 2,000 rand, all right? It's more like 40,000 rand. So over time, the number just gets bigger, okay? So it's very important, guys, to really understand the impact of underpricing, because it's not sustainable at all, and this should be a light bulb to say, oh, okay, this is why actually certain things have not been making sense. So you have to go in and check dish by dish. Does it make sense? Is it sustainable? Is it profitable? Am I hitting the right food cost percentage as well? Okay. So what is the pricing formula? Okay. I honestly think the reason why South Africans in particular are struggling in business is because we start businesses with a big passion for food, not necessarily a big passion for business. And the challenge with that is, of course, you are running on hope and dreams and aspirations. And that is not how systems are built, right? So very important to have a sense of what the pricing formula is so that you are able to understand it when you use the app, because the app is going to give you a margin. It's going to suggest to you, this is a margin for caterers, this is a margin for people in hotels, or this is for a restaurant. But if you don't understand what it means, then it's kind of pointless. Okay, so these sessions are about unlocking what the app actually does for you, very simply. Okay, when you build your price, you got to look at it in 3 layers. Okay, the first layer is your ingredient cost. All right, every ingredient that goes into, we can't forget oils, spices, garnishes. Those things cost money, right? You buy those micro herbs from Woolies. You buy the paprika, and it costs a lot of money. You buy the pepper, right? Pepper and salt are probably the least common, most common ingredients, but a lot of people leave them out. And if you're paying 289 rand a kilo for pepper, it doesn't matter how long it's been in your kitchen for. The fact of the matter is that that is 200 rand that you're spending on a kilo of that product, and therefore you need to get that money back. Okay. Secondly, you're going to look at the full cost. Okay. You're going to add the packaging, you're going to add the gas, you're going to add the electricity, you're going to add your time or the labor, whoever is doing the stuff, right? And delivery if it's applicable, right? And then how you determine the selling price, it is the full cost divided by 1 minus the target margin. Target margin being, how much do I want to make from this product that I'm selling? And so if I'm selling something for 100 rand, or rather, if I want to make 35%, which is typical for corporate, for catering, I am going to take 1 and minus 0.35, right? Because that's a percentage value. And if I take my full cost and I divide it by 0.65, that gives me a selling price. Okay. So the rule of thumb is you never price below full cost divided by 0.65, specifically for catering businesses. Okay. So here's an example. Okay. The ingredients cost for a bunny chow is 38 rand 50. The packaging is 5 rand. That could be the paper wrap, the plastic that you give, the pre-packed fork and knife with the salt and pepper, whatever. All of that stuff would go in here, right? Gas and electricity, again, I'll show you now when we go into Freedom Scale. Let me just check if there's no one in the room. Just type your questions in the chat box. If you have any, I will come back to them when we are I'll come back to them when we are at the end of the Q&A. I'll show you how to calculate the gas and electricity, but the basic principle is how much gas have I used in a month? All right, let's say I've bought 2 times 9 kgs. That's 700 Rand, for example. And then you're going to say, okay, in a month, I am cooking for an average of 4 hours a day, and I'm open, let's say 20 days a month. You're going to take that total number divided by 20, and then that's going to give you your day consumption, right? And that's essentially your 4 hours of cooking. And then we can give you a minute cost for gas, right? So I can tell you how much an egg costs me, including the gas. Because if I'm frying an egg for 3 minutes, the assumption is that I'm using 3 minutes of gas, which will equate to a number, whatever that number is. And generally, those numbers would be quite small, right? Labor, same way. If Thabo earns 5,500 Rand and he works 25 days, you're going to take 5,500 divided by 25. That's going to give you his day cost. And then if you work 9 hours a day, you're going to divide the day cost by those 9 hours. That gives you an hourly cost. And so an hourly cost is a 60-minute cost. And so you can actually have a minute cost from that, right? So if you can see here, 80 Rand an hour is 20 Rand every 15 minutes. This number is very powerful and very important for you guys to know, because it allows you to speak to time wasting in your store, and you know how much it's costing you. So if you employ someone and they waste your time, you need to explain it to them in numbers and not just shout at them for being late. The full cost is 67 Rand for everything for me to hand over this product to the person. At a 35% margin, right, we're going to divide 67 by 0.65. That gives us 103 Rand, and the rounded selling price is 105 Rand, right? Same dish, proper cost, proper price, no guesswork. It works the same for everything that you do, okay? So I'm going to send this, by the way, into the group. Again, you know, the value of being in the group is that I'm going to send these notes in there. You are going to, if you want, you can book a call with me once a month. Everybody gets 30 minutes. You can book a call and we can talk about whatever it is that you don't understand, okay? So something to just think about. So I'm going to show you with a live exercise what I'm talking about, okay? So let me just open Freedom Scale quickly. And I'm just going to go to the homepage. You can see I've been using it for a bit. I've got 120 recipes there. I just want to refresh my page. Oh, the other thing, guys, when you open Freedom Scale and for whatever reason things don't look, they look different, or something's not come up or whatever, try and refresh the page. On a MacBook, that's a Command-Shift-R. I think on Microsoft computers, it would be a different thing. I'll send it as well in the group, but it's also like a Control-Shift-R, just to refresh the page so that it brings up the most up-to-date version. Sometimes there's a bar at the top that also tells you that. So just click on that and it should be fine. So I'm not going to get into the dashboard and all these other things because we would have done this before. So I'm going to go straight into my recipe. I'm going to open main. I'm going to check Basil Chicken. Okay. So for those of you who haven't, sort of gone through this with us, you basically enter the name of the recipe. You decide what category it falls under. You give it a bit of a description. You can link it to a menu item, right? Because recipes are not menu items. So you got to create your menu for whatever store that you're going to sell for. Then you got to get the serving weight. Most serving weights you can only get once you've cooked the item. Once you've baked the cake, once you've baked the scone, you go and weigh it so that you know what the weight of one scone should be. This speaks to consistency, and you need to be consistent to be profitable. Otherwise, a bigger scone one day costs a lot more than a smaller scone. So you got to think about it like that. Consistency really is, and portion control is a big contributor to the loss in profit. Okay. Then you're going to say my recipe yields how many? So in this case, it's 10. It takes me 30 minutes to prep. I'm not sure what they're doing for 30 minutes, but and then I cook it for another 30 minutes. Okay. I use 1.5 kilograms of chicken breast. I use 1 kg of pasta, 500 mils of a white sauce, 0.1. This is 100 grams actually, so I can change that. 100 grams of basil pesto and 100 grams of cheddar cheese. And already you can see that that's a food cost that's turned red now, because now the price or the cost of one item against my 50 Rand selling price is way too high. But at this point, I can play around. So here's what the app does, right? You already have a price. Most people have a price. So you're going to come in here and put a price, right? Now my price is 50 Rand. Now the app is telling me, this thing doesn't make sense. You're going to make a loss if you continue to sell it at this price, right? I haven't even, remember, this is a percentage of the 50 Rand, okay? You've spent 37% of this 50 Rand. You are left, in essence, with 31 Rand. And this 31 Rand is too tight to pay labor, to pay rent, to pay, electricity, water, telephone bills, you name it, okay? So it wants you to get to a price point that is safe for you to operate from. So I can go in and say, okay, 50 is too small, let's try 55. Now you can see that automatically changes to 34%, which is more acceptable, right? It's amber. You really want it to be at green, okay? So you are gonna go in and say, what's 60 look like? And then you can increase it slightly until you are at a place where you are happy, right? At 67 Rand, I'm on a 27.9% food cost. But the point is that here, I want to be green. It's not always possible. I must tell you that, okay? Because you're going to get to a place, try to sell your thing for 67 Rand, and people are going to look at you weirdly, because that just doesn't make sense for them, okay? And so that's where you need to start making some decisions. However, you don't want to go over 35% on a food cost. Anything above 35%, drop that product, because it's actually just going to be a loser and it's going to hurt your business. Okay. So I'm still okay at 60 Rand. Fine. But I haven't added my cost, right? So it takes about 30 minutes, like we said. Maybe there's somebody else who does who does something else, like maybe peels or chops or whatever. However many people that you have doing different functions, okay, you would add them there as well, right? So Tabo and Maria, they are the ones that work for you. There's 3 of you in the business. You add both of them and yourself, actually, and you add the time it takes you to actually make any of these things combined, okay? So if it's 30 minutes and you're all involved, then it's 10 minutes for everybody, okay? That you're going to allocate to the recipe, because it doesn't take you 90 minutes to make it. Therefore, 30 minutes every person, it takes you 30. So you're going to spread it across everyone. Here, I'm going to say we cook for 15 minutes. We maybe have stuff in the oven, whatever, for 10 minutes. And then we used water for 2 minutes. The calculations are not for you to worry about. When you actually go into your shop pricing, again, we've talked about the stuff. When you go into your shop pricing, then you are able to actually adjust the prices for these items based on how much water you're spending a month, how much money you've spent on water in a month. So you need data in order to be able to do that, okay? So we go back. I have a gross margin of 39. I've got a healthy prime cost. Prime cost, as you can see, is food plus labor. Okay, there's your labor cost per item. All right, so per plate of basil chicken, I'm spending 122 on labor. Utilities, the water and electricity, that's 50 cents per item. Okay, and this stuff is very important because people sit at the end of the month, can't pay rent, can't buy electricity because nobody's paying for that electricity. You are not doing anyone a favor by making scones or making food, right? So everything needs to be accounted for in order for the right price to be worked out. Okay. So that's essentially how the platform helps you to be able to get to the right price. Okay. You then adjust it accordingly until you're happy with the gross margin that you're going to make. Right. So at 70 Rand, let's say I want to make 49 Rand or 50 Rand per meal that I sell, then I'm going to sell it at 70 Rand because there's my profit. And remember, I've already sort of put in the major items. Of course, we can't ignore the fact that there's still other operational costs that are not involved here, but printing and stationery are not direct inputs into making a particular thing. So it would be incorrect to try and add it into a recipe. Does that make sense to everyone so far? Again, if your hands, let me see. Yeah, by show of hands, does that make sense? Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Baya. And again, this app, guys, is not built for people, lay people. It's built for food entrepreneurs. And it's not an app you're gonna go into and sort of figure out how to use. You're gonna have to join even the community where we just share updates on what's new in the app. The fact that you can invoice, the fact that you can take a photo of your slips, all the stuff that you see me posting on TikTok and Instagram, etc. It's nice because it captures the attention. But for you to actually get maximum use from the app, you need to engage me essentially, and you need to engage my team so that we can be able to explain certain things and explain how it works, because we don't just want you to jump onto an app and start doing stuff and not get the full extent of what it is that it's meant to do for you. For me, it's about you being profitable at the end of the day and nothing else. And for you to become profitable, you gotta use every possible brain cell towards building a business. And a big part of it is actually making sure that you understand how the app speaks to the bottom line, which is your profit. Okay, so we've done our our live test. One product, three prices, three customers. Right, at the entry level, you can sell a jar of marmalade at 65 Rand. If there's value that you're adding, so 500 mils now, all of a sudden there's better value per mil, so that could be a very popular option. And then at a premium, you obviously need to add things to make stuff premium, right? So gift set, that's the 500 mil jam plus a recipe card and maybe a branded bag, right? So pricing speaks to the environment in which you are trying to operate. Okay, when you start as a private chef, most of your clients are going to be the kind of people who can afford to have a private chef. But you're going to get customers that say, oh, I really want that as well. It would be really nice for my husband's, I don't know, birthday or whatever. You want to rework that pricing sometimes to adjust for a mid sort of customer, okay? Because not everything is linear and not everything can be sold at the same price everywhere. So you gotta engage that and understand You don't need to change, your recipe. You need to change your packaging and the framing. And that's why knowing the recipe cost at the true cost of your recipe is so important, because anything after a particular number just becomes pure profit. And so it gives you a reason to go looking for premium customers, because you're going to make a whole lot more money on them versus your entry level customers. Set a new price for one product. That's all you have to do, right? In the next week or two, because we've got another session in 2 weeks. So you're going to set a new price for one product based on your actual cost, not a guess. And you're going to cost your dish on Freedom Scale, not on paper. These things just get lost. The whole point of the app is that we all use phones. We don't lose them for the most part. Apply the full cost divided by 0.65 to get your price. You can, of course, adjust this based on whatever margin you want to make. Say if you want to make 50%, this number would be 0.50. If you want to make 40%, then it becomes 0.440. Okay. Post your before and after prices in the WhatsApp group before the 1st of July, not June. Okay. And that's it for our session today. Any questions? Gonna open up the floor to you guys. And no question is too basic, guys. Like, really, this hour is generally for us to connect and for you to know that there are other people that have got the same problems that you have. Baya, you want to say something?
Yes, hi everyone. So we are going to be a starter, and we were very nervous with Pumla about the pricing. So
Yeah.
our business is going to be to a tuck shop at a school.
Okay.
So now I would like to then know, how then do you evaluate or balance whether you go for convenience, that is like your McCain, for example, fries,
Yes.
or getting somebody to be chopping and peeling chip potatoes for the chips. How do you strike that balance and cost for that to say which one is better off?
100%. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is go listen to the podcast that I released yesterday, I think. It speaks exactly about this question you've just asked me. But the podcasts are essentially, a overview of the things we've been doing over the past couple of months. But anyway, the answer to your question is a few things, right? We couldn't answer all of them now, but here's 2 things that come top of mind. Where is your customer, or who is your customer, right? You said a tuck shop at a school, but where is this school? What school is it?
Oh, okay. It's within our neighborhood. It's a high school. So we're gonna get permission to go into the school to sell to them.
Private school or public school?
It's a public school. It's Glen Vista High.
Okay, cool. So that stuff becomes very important, because where you are obviously determines the kind of money that people have access to. So the students themselves, you need to understand what kind of spending power they've got, right? So that's an investigation that you need to do. You need to go find out from the surrounding spaces where they buy food currently, what kind of money they're spending. Get a sense of what that looks like, okay? That could be even asking on a survey to the school to say, please send it out to the guys. You create a bunch of questions. You'd say something like, we want to sell pies and burgers. The pie is going to be, how much would you be willing to pay for the pie, type of thing, right? But when we speak about, and this would be a question to the school and not necessarily the learners, because the learners are likely to choose the cheapest thing, which is fine because it also gives you a sense of what they're willing to spend. The second piece is around the fries. And really, you don't have to chop and peel fries yourself. That's the first thing you have to know. And that's why suppliers are such an important aspect of building a food business, right? Like, I know a lot of us start small, but suppliers are willing to actually meet you somewhere, okay? So in the case of fries, you can call a supplier and say, hey, I'm looking for fries. Can you cut and peel them for me? What is the price? It's going to be much cheaper than frozen fries. I can tell you that for free, right? And then all
Okay.
you then is go pick them up yourself, because it's likely that they're not going to deliver under a certain price point, okay? So
Okay.
this idea that somebody has to sit there and peel the things is not a real thing, because if it's costing you 3,000, you might as well go and buy freshly cut potatoes and pick them up yourself. And this is done by even smaller retailers. Like, I used to get food lovers to do this for me. They peel and cut stuff for me. I don't know if they still offer that service. And yes, you are paying a retail price, but at least it's steady for a very long period. Okay. It's very different to buying potatoes at a market where the price fluctuates all the time.
Yeah.
But you can't increase your prices all the time, right? You're in a sensitive environment. People expect to pay X amount. So you got to keep things stable. And stable doesn't mean the biggest supplier. It means the most consistent supplier. So if you decide to go with Pick and Pay, which is okay, that's not where you're going to end up. What you do know for a fact, though, is that the price of potato is not going to go up and down ridiculously every other week. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
yeah. Yes, it does.
Cool. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. We were already looking into, I've already done the questionnaire for a survey to ask them what's they price really, how much do they normally spend. But when I have
100%.
gone and seen the current model where they have the tuck shop already, they're spending around 60 rands for a meal.
Sure. Okay. So you've got some answers, which is great. So you've got something to work with, right? You don't want to outprice yourself from the market, and you don't want to shock people. However, you can have a product mix. You don't have to have um, you don't have to have products that are only 60 rand. You can have something that's lower, you can have something that's higher, but you can have an average of more things that you know are going to be bought to bring the feet in, because people are curious. They will want to see what else is available.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Any other questions, guys?
Okay, if nobody has, can I ask another one?
You are more.
Okay, from your experience,
Yeah.
with these tuck shops, which products do we typically think these are products that are money making, but really they destroy the margins? I saw one of your things where somebody was selling a magunya and they're not making much of
Yeah.
profit as we would think that they do. So which products do you think that we should typically shy away from?
So it's not so much about shying away from the product. The point is that you need to know what the food cost is, right? Once you know what the food cost is and you figured out what the prime cost is, then you are able to set a price that makes sense and is still profitable. It can be low, but it can still be profitable. So it's not about the product so much versus understanding the numbers around the product. Okay. So in the case of a fat cake, if you are making a fat cake and it's costing you 1 rand 20 to make, and you're selling it for 2 rand, and you realize that 80 cents is not enough to cover my cost. Let's say you are only selling fat cakes and 80 cents is not covering your cost. You've got a few options and decisions to make, right? You can either increase the price and remove the sort of student tuck shop story, just the product itself. Doesn't matter where you're selling it. At that point, you can make a few decisions, right? Do I reduce the size of the fat cake? Because that chips away, that gives you back like a 20 cents. Because now all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's not 80 cents, it's 1 rand that you have. But it speaks to consistency, and it speaks to a recipe that's built with precision, and then a recipe that's followed to the T. This is where the money gets lost. It's not about low pricing items, it's about managing the margin. And the margin sits in the ingredients. That's the one thing you can actually control, right? Is
Yeah.
your input at an ingredient level. You can't do anything about labor. People must be there to work. You can't do anything about the rent if you must pay rent, but the ingredients you can manage. So things like waste, things like lost, stock, that's where the business is. Okay. So you can come in with cheap items, but they can be profitable. Okay. It just depends, of course, where you are. But we know in a tuck shop environment, chips are always going to do well, right? So if you are selling a lot of chips, but you are selling them at the wrong price, you're also going to make a loss. And that's kind of the point. So you gotta go and understand 200 grams of cooked chips cost me how much. If you don't know that answer, then stop selling the chips, because you are probably not making enough money. I've seen chips for 10 rand and there's so many of them, and I'm like, how are you, how are you
Yeah.
doing this? And then those shops close after a couple of months because it just doesn't make sense. Oil is so expensive, electricity is so expensive, or gas is so expensive. So it's about knowing the lowest price you can go, but from a calculation, not like how it feels or how other people are talking about it. It really has to be some maths that goes into it.
Yeah.
And I
Thank you.
know it's a tough thing, because now it means everything you sell, you need to go and build a recipe for. And that's exactly what must happen, right? That's how, McDonald's does it. That's how all these big chains do it. And that's why everybody else along the chain is suffering, because they are just not managing the ingredients. They pour a very specific amount of tomato sauce into the burger. They pour just 3 pickles, and that's not because they don't want with their pickles, but they are managing the cost. And a pickle over 1 million burgers in a year starts to become a
Mhm.
big number, which takes
Yeah.
you back to that, underpricing for 20 rand, 100 dishes is 2,000 rand. You may not see it, but at the end of the month, that adds up.
Yeah.
Mm. But I know that you guys have just joined, so we have gone through quite a lot of other stuff prior that builds context. When I started this presentation, I said these are the things we did the last time. So again, I will share the previous notes as well for you to look at, so that you can sort of come back and catch up. And I think I did record it, so I can probably share the recording as well, so you can watch that. Any other questions, guys? Yes, so go ahead.
Hi, Chef. How are you?
Hello, good on you.
Good, good. I just wanted to find out because lately I'm getting a lot of from my corporate client. They're asking for a
Yes.
lot of pre-packed food, like
Oh,
snack packs and things like that.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
find that right now they're asking for muffins, right?
Okay.
Well, part of it is muffins. One of
Yeah.
the items is a muffin. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to decide as to would it be cheaper to um have them ready made, right? To
Mm-hmm.
find ready made ones, or
Mm-hmm.
with something like that, would it be actually work out cheaper to make them? But
You
because
have
I'm
to
not much
build.
of a
You
baker,
have
so
to
I'm just
build the. You have to build the recipe and see what one is going to cost you. I can't answer that. I don't know how big the muffin is. I don't know what you're going to put into it, whether it's chocolate chips or whatever. So you have to build the recipe and compare apples and apples. You're gonna go buy, or not even buy. You can just look online to say Woolies muffins, chocolate or vanilla, 79 rand for 12. The cost for that is like whatever, 2 rand, 3 rand, or 5 rand. They're actually quite expensive. Um, but maybe here's an answer for you. Um, Figure out what 30 minutes or 25 minutes of electrical use in an oven looks like. All right. We saw that something like 3 rand, right?
Mhm.
A that little what do you call it, pack of snowflake, the ready-made muffin thing mix.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
That thing is like 21 rand or something like that, right? And it makes like 12 muffins, if I'm not mistaken. Then you think about an egg. That's 2.50 at most. I think you use 250 moles of oil in that thing and maybe another 300 of like milk. Top of mind, it's already cheaper to make it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's never going to be cheaper to buy from a retailer. That's almost guaranteed unless there's a serious special that's running. But once you've done the recipe, then you'll see what the cost per muffin is, and then you can just make a decision based on that. That's an informed decision. You're not going to be guessing. You're not going to be wondering, like for like.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Or maybe I'll just find some, because honestly, I'm not a baker. My hand is not
Yeah,
a baking hand. So I really,
sure.
yeah, I've tried to
Find the
do it
recipe,
myself.
find the recipe on online, or even better, go into the app or in the group and ask anyone who's a baker there and say, please share your recipe with me on the app, because you can do that. You can chat with each other in the app and ask for recipes and share recipes.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'll do that, because yeah, I think I do better when it comes to like desserts, like creating like the dessert cups. But when it comes to
Sure.
baking, yeah, the the chemistry is
It's
not
an
there.
exact, it's an exact science, and it's either you can bake or you can't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
No. Okay. I'll see what to do. Thank you so much for that.
no problem. Any other questions? We are at 7 o'clock and almost done with our session. I'll give it another 7 minutes and then we're going to call it an evening. Okay, let's walk through who's in here so I can harass you. Mapula, you are very quiet. You've been quiet these days. What's going on? Are you okay? Is everything all right? Are you working your recipes out? Namu, how's it going? Are you working your recipes out? Do you have a dashboard view?
Um, I'm finally getting the hang of it.
Yeah,
Remember last week when I had asked about, I think I'd mentioned something in the group about some challenges we're having with some clients.
yeah,
Um, I can't say that I am at the recommended cost price yet. I'm
yeah,
still trying to figure that out, and I've told my I'm also teaching my staff how to
yes,
work around their budgets, because I
sure.
have another job. I have another
Yeah,
thing I run, so I'm not there 100%
okay.
of the time.
Yeah,
Yes. So what I've done is also to teach my people how to go about it. So for the catering thing that we had last week, at least we were able to reduce costs to about 40%. Normally, it would even go as high as I think there was a time when we were not even managing so well that we would go as high as 60.
sure.
Unfortunately, sometimes even 70 years. But from that last class that we had a
Yeah,
month ago,
yeah,
at least we've had a lot of improvement, and we
that's
can
great.
finally see the light.
That's great. I'm happy. I'm really happy to hear that. And please, yeah, share these wins with us so that we can celebrate you, so that I can get in touch and help out. Book the meeting with me once a month just to check in on stuff you're not sure about. Just so I can make sure that you're really getting value out of our interactions, because you guys are pretty much the core, what would I call it, the beta team, before this thing becomes too big and then I'm not available for any of this stuff. So I'm really excited to get in, chatting with you guys every other week. So I'm excited to hear the stories and to hear how this is all kind of helping, which I think is great. Thanks, Namu, for that. Pindi's new, Pumla is new. Pumla, hello. Are you here with us?
Hello, hello,
Hi.
hi, Pumla here. Sorry, I got interrupted a bit
No worries.
earlier. But I think Bayanda did mention that we've been doing some prep work. We haven't really started
Yes.
with the business.
Okay.
But what I wanted to know, part of our preparation has been the development of an app because
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at the students ordering through an app. I'm not sure if Bayanda has asked about this because I did
No.
get a bit of interruption.
Yeah.
So I see from the app, from what you were presenting there, that the app can sort of has got that calculation, background calculation. Is that something that we could perhaps incorporate into our app that we've developed, or we would have to maybe use what you have? What would be your advice in terms of that?
I'd first have to understand and have a look at what you currently have, because this app in particular is for you in the background, in the back office. You can sell from Freedom Scale, so you can have a shop where you click stuff that you're selling in the shop. So whatever you're adding as an ingredient, you can actually go and sell it on the POS. There is a POS function on the app, but that is a premium feature. So we would have to have a more in-depth conversation to understand what you've built and whether integration makes sense first and foremost, and who's got access to what. So I couldn't say with certainty right off the bat, but yeah, I think it would require maybe a separate conversation just to see what that looks like.
Oh, okay. No, thanks. I think we will be in contact then with
No
regards
problem.
to that. Thank you.
Thanks. Sheila,
Hi, can you guys hear me now?
now we can hear you. Yes.
Oh, finally. Thank you guys. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm saying I will share proper feedback once I found somebody to assist me with running the kitchen as I have a 9 to 5 and then I'll
Yeah.
be I'm hoping that I can start this weekend, start on
Yeah.
Friday throughout
Yeah.
the long weekend. Then
Yeah.
I'll provide proper feedback next week. Are we having another session next week, Wednesday?
No, we'll have it in 2 weeks' time. So we have two sessions a month, generally in the first, second week, and then 2 weeks from there.
Oh, all right then.
Yeah, but
But
in the
then
group,
so far,
you can always share in the group.
yeah,
You can always
yes,
share
yes,
in
yes,
the group. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But then so far, like I am able to understand a bit about freedom scale and how it works. And
Yeah.
then I just want to play around with other items that I would like to add on the menu. So I'll do
Sure.
that and then give you feedback on the group if
Fantastic.
I encounter probably a problem.
Cool. Where are you based?
I'm based in Katlehong, the east of
I see.
Johannesburg. Yes.
Just send me a DM. There's a lady that I know that is a chef, and she uses a lot of ladies from the area. So she might have someone who's looking for sort of part-time work. So just DM me, and we can arrange.
All right, then I would appreciate that. Thank you so much, Kagiso.
No problem. Robin, how's things going? Mr. Kushata, you've been quiet. I see you sneaking in and out ever so often. Things all right? Go ahead, Robin. Robin, we can't hear you if you are saying anything. Uh, yeah. All right, guys. If there is nothing else, thank you very much. You now know how to price, hopefully, for real. And if you don't, again, please book your time. Let's have a chat. But ingredient costs plus full cost calculated, price formula applied, tiers understood. In July rather, we're going to talk about charging what you're worth. And that's I'm going to share the dates for that. I had to track back a little bit. That's why you see these dates being incorrect. But I will reshare the correct ones. With that said, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time. Have a good evening and go build your business. Go build your businesses with confidence and with real numbers. Thank you very much and cheers.
Bye, guys.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers. Welcome.